welcome to TotalSUP. Today I've got a very special guest. It's Lincoln Dews, all the way from Australia, who is going to talk through his next huge challenge, the Yukon Double, as Chris Parker recently dubbed what his achievement is going to be. Basically, the Yukon River Quest and the Yukon 1000 back-to-back. I think it's the other way around, right, Lincoln?
Yeah, thank you for having me. No, that's right. It's the Yukon River Quest first, and then the Yukon 1000. So it's they happen to be on the same river actually, but it's the longest and the second longest non-stop paddle events out on any craft. So we're going to try and do them back to back.
So that's two ultra long distance races non-stop. I assume one is done on your own and the other one is done with a teammate. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's correct. So the 1000 doesn't run every year either. So it's good they line up this year. It's been a bit of a funny journey to get to this point. So I think Bart de Zwarts is the only paddler on any craft to back up and do both races in the same year, and he ended up winning both races. They're both very unique races in their own right. The Quest is a 750-kilometre race, and you've got two forced 5-hour stops. So that kind of means that the first leg, for example, is at 26 hours non-stop, and then you get your 5 hours off, and then you're back on the water, and then you're off and on. Whereas the 1000 is 1,000 miles, and it's so much longer, and it's such a different event. So for the Quest, I will be solo, but I'll have a support crew on the land when we get into the rest, and I can almost just fall into my bunk. For the 1000, I'm actually doing it in the canoe, in the voyaging canoe. So SUP and then canoe, but I'm doing that as a team. It's a two-man team, and I'm doing that with a friend of mine, Nick Maloney, who comes from is a very good paddler in his own right, but he comes from a pretty diverse background from myself. And the 1000 is very much more of a survival race. So we're 7 days. We're only allowed to be on the water for 18 hours a day, which still sounds crazy. But you have to kind of camp up each night, and we're kind of expected to finish within 7 to 10 days, depending on the river and how the ice is kind of melted out up there.
Okay. Well, the first thing that came to mind when I saw that news a few weeks ago is, why is Lincoln Dews doing such a crazy challenge? I mean, not just one ultra long distance race, which would be something in its own right, which would be huge already for a very talented international athlete like you, but more accustomed to technical races and what we call long distance races, which are no more than 15-20 kilometers. Why do something so challenging and double the score with actually the two biggest, longest races on Earth? What's in there for you personally?
It's a tricky question, that one. For me personally, I'm very excited about this year and about these kind of events. I've been stand-up paddling, prone paddle racing, ski paddle racing for as long as I can remember. So I've been stand-up paddling professionally for about 10 years now on the race circuit, and I absolutely love it. I've loved it the whole time. And I think through COVID, after winning the 2019 ICF world title, I was a little bit drained. I was a little bit kind of fatigued. And through that process of kind of being able to travel to all these events, you'd meet all these different people from diverse backgrounds, such as Bart, that's gone and done these events, but a lot of other characters that have just gone and just done these kind of paddle projects or paddling events just for the fun of it. And for me, that kind of captured my imagination a little bit. There's so much out there. Paddling kind of offers us away from the racetrack and the typical races. The Yukon Quest is a race that I've known about for a little while now. I actually coached a friend of mine, Peter Allen, to to do the last couple of events, and he ended up with a second and a third. And so I was kind of aware of it for a little while, and it was something that I always was like, I'd like to do. I'd really wanted to do. And the start of this year, it just seemed like it clicked, and it seemed like the right year to do it. Fast forward to the 1,000, that's kind of a strange one. Chris Parker actually mentioned it to me originally, and I looked into it, and I wasn't really a fan. I didn't think I'd do 2 races back to back, and I'd seen Bart's done it. I mean, Bart's Bart, right? Like he's unstoppable. I didn't really think it's possible. Till a friend of mine, Nick Maloney, was looking at doing the quest, and the quest was filled up. It fills up really, really quickly nowadays, and going, oh, we can't get into that one, but we could do this one. And then just chatting back and forth, it kind of the concept of doing the 1,000 being such a unique and being the longest paddle event on the planet really kind of dawned on. I was like, you know what, like that would be cool to kind of tick off. And it just happened that they fall back to back, and it's something that I'm excited for, but at the same time, I'm nervous in the fact that I still don't believe I'm doing it, and I don't really know how achievable it is. I do it is, and that's kind of, I think, why I've been so quiet about it for so many months training for this, is I didn't believe it was achievable myself. Yeah. But talking to Bart and a few other paddlers, I think I can do it, and I know I should be able to do it, but it's not just going to be turning up and go paddling.
Yeah, we actually wondered where Lincoln News was this past few months. We've seen you sailing, we've seen you foiling a lot. Not so much training for standard paddle racing. What's your recent history with sports in general?
I've been really busy. It doesn't feel like I've been busy, but I've been busy. I'm really fortunate this year to be still working with SIC Maui, and they've been quite supportive of this project in particular, and just kind of branching out and kind of trying different avenues of stand-up paddling, and kind of just being around the sport and showcasing what we can do in different aspects. I'll be over in Europe for a couple of races at the end of May, but I've been doing a so I'm going to try and do a couple of the Euro Tour events leading into the Yukon.
That's crazy to actually learn that just before going into those 2 big challenges back to back, you're going to do some standard racing with the big boys with top athletes in Europe.
Yeah, I'm going to go around and have a crack and see how I go and see where I'm placed. I feel like I've been training a fair bit. Obviously, it's been a lot longer stuff, and it's been a lot more trying to mentally prepare myself for a bit of a mental torture episode up in the Ukon. But it should be fun. A lot of the Euro Tour races this year look quite exciting, so it'll be good to get out in the open water and have a race around.
There's something I've always wanted to know from you, Lincoln. It's your sailing background. How big is sailing in your life?
Yes,
you're on sailing boats a lot.
Yeah, I seem to be. I guess it's the same as for me, this is going to sound really corny, but it's very much the same as my paddling and my surfing and all these other aspects. I really enjoy being on the water. I've sailed for quite a long time, not so much competitively, as I'm probably trying to do a bit more yacht racing now. But just being on the water in a lot of different ways for me is something I really enjoy, and I'm fortunate enough to do. Being stuck at home with less SUP racing in the last couple of years, we've really kind of delved into a few sailing projects and being around some kind of high performance yachts, which has been really, really cool. But it's kind of been a nice refresher, I guess, off the stand up for a little while, and just kind of exploring different opportunities, and just kind of melding them all into one, I guess.
Yeah. You had a first taster of an ultra long distance, not race, but a personal challenge with a friend of yours last year, doing the Nimbodia descent in Australia. How long was it, and how did you feel after completing it?
So last year a friend of mine, Nick Ray, who's done another one of these characters in our sport that's done some incredible long distance paddling that nobody's ever heard of. He's paddled across the Bass Strait, which is a big body of water here in Australia, and and he's just somebody who just loves torturing himself. So we ended up finding this river. It's called the Namboida River. It's River Rapids in the back of Australia. It's actually the longest non-stop river rapids in Australia, and it's about 230 kilometers. And we were like, we should do it. And it is about this 2-week window that our dates kind of lined up, and I had to go back to school, and we've gone, oh God, let's just go and do it. So a little bit underprepared. A lot of things went wrong, but I learned a lot. So we did, I think it was 230 Ks in about 4 days on inflatable boards. It was really slow going because there wasn't a lot of water in the river. Neither of us had done any sort of kind of swift water or river rapid running before. So we were quite nervous. And I think the first day, I lost my fin out of my board, so I had no fin for the whole trip, and wow. Nick managed to bugger up his knee. So we was quite early. We realised that how serious things can kind of go wrong, but at the end of it, loved it, absolutely loved it. And I think that kind of started the bug with the Yukon. I've gone, okay, like I can. It's a different challenge. It's quite a personal challenge. I think the Yukon's a little bit different in the fact that it is still a race, and there's some madmen and mad women up there that that have raced that race so many times and are quite good and quite fast. I think Bart would attest to that. And so while you're paddling out there for a number of days and trying to survive yourself, you've kind of, I think you'll always have in the back of your mind that there's people trying to race you, and they're always trying to catch you or pull away from you. So it's going to be an interesting few weeks, I think.
Yeah. Can you take us through the courses of both races, and tell us how different in terms of equipment and just gear in general, how different it is from traditional stand-up racing?
Yeah, and that's something that I've actually had to reach out for a lot of assistance, because there's a lot of little technical things I never really kind of took into consideration. So we're paddling 24 wide boards, and you can't paddle anything narrower than a 24 wide board, which is fair enough. You have to carry, for the Yukon Quest, you have to carry even though you don't use it, you have to carry a lot of camping gear on the board up until the stops, just in case something happens on the river on the way. So you're suddenly paddling your board with a lot of weight on it. It sinks a little bit further in the water, and it's amazing how 10, 15 kilos of weight on your board really kind of changes the board and changes how you paddle. And
its balance, I guess.
Yeah, balance, and you just get tired. I think you just feel a little bit weaker. The board doesn't flow as much, and you kind of get frustrated, especially when I've done so many years of paddling and knowing how a board feels, that when you get on a board with it, it's a little bit heavier and it's weighted down, etc. You're like, oh, like all my rhythm. I remember like a couple of months ago, I'd lose all my rhythm really, really quickly, and just didn't feel comfortable. Something else we played a lot around with is paddle heights, because getting comfortable paddling that distance is quite a challenge, especially for me. I found that being somebody who's always had a really, really high rating with my paddle and used to kind of paddling around for an hour, maybe 2 hours at most, doing a Molokai, which is like 4 or 5 hours, like it's quite different and quite daunting how I've just got to keep going for 24, 26 hours. On top of that, there's just a lot of kind of warm and more so survival gear. Like I think wearing waterproof socks to keep your feet warm, making sure you're wearing either shoes or some sort of stabilizer on your feet, like a shoe or a sandal or something, just to kind of keep that arch, because standing up for that long is quite challenging. So I'm told. Other than that, it gets cold there overnight. It's something that I probably will be able to tell you in 2 months' time all the things I should have done and all the things are different. But at this stage, it's just learning to paddle at a different speed and relaxing and just kind of continuing through. This weekend, I'm actually going to do my first 24-hour paddle, which is, I think, hopefully my only one before the race. But it's been a bit of a kind of a mental hurdle for me in the fact that it's quite daunting. Just getting just to get back kind of in that pain zone for that extended period, and just it'll be quite a moment for me to overcome confidence-wise going into the Yukon, that I can actually do that. But yeah, it's there's a lot of learning involved, and that's kind of why I'm so excited for it.
And what are the water conditions? Are you going to meet any rapids on the way?
So this is quite a funny one. The water runs downwind, so you're getting dragged along with the current most of the way, and that's kind of why you can cover such big distances in such short time frames. In saying that, the first day involves a lake that doesn't have much water flow, and it's about 60 kilometers long, and you can often get headwinds in for that stretch and all sorts of things. So I think it's not just going to be getting sucked down the river and having a great time. I'm told there could be little rapids and little kind of bits of water that are moving around, especially in the later stages of the 1,000 when you're a lot further downstream. Sorry. But it's interesting. So all the ice builds up over the winter and then melts off. So kind of depending on where the ice melts will kind of depend where you go around certain islands, and there's lots of different obstacles in that river that appear to be challenging, and it's quite a navigational exercise to make sure you're in the fastest current and you're getting sucked down the river as quickly as possible.
Have you got that river knowledge, which is very specific to more like kayak, the kayak environment?
Yeah, definitely. And that's it. Like, and that's the thing, like there's some guys and girls up there that have incredible knowledge, and I don't have any of that. So it's kind of been a very learn as I go and take as much on as I can. And I'll try to do that when I get up there, like any race. But yeah, it's just the same I guess it's the same as preparing for a normal paddle race. You just try and take in as much information as you can from the people that have paddled there. It's just on a different scale, right?
Yeah. One other ingredient of both races, it sounds a little bit cliche, but you could on the way encounter some bears. Are you being told by the organizers how to handle such a situation?
I am so scared of bears. It's not even funny, man. Not just the bears, but everything up in Canada. I'm petrified of the wildlife up there. So the Yukon Quest, the first race, I told limited chance that we'll experience any kind of activity of anything that's kind of dangerous. Also, too, you're on the river most of the time. You're at like a designated camp. Second race, 1,000, a lot of it, like you're camping on the river by yourself. So it's kind of pick the right spot. And we've kind of started to talk to I've got some good friends up there that also paddle for Blackfish Paddles, and they're quite knowledgeable and done a lot of time up expeditioning up there. So I'm trying to gather as much information as we can. But yeah, I'm scared.
And specifically for that question, you know how to at this right moment, do you know how to act if you've got a bear coming your way?
No.
Are you supposed to move, shout?
I should know, but no is probably the honest answer. I know, like, okay. I do, but yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to follow your both races? Are you going to be able to be active on social media during your two challenges?
So the first race, the Quest, we will be. We'll be able to have social media access, especially at the kind of the stop. So we'll have a kind of a following crew, kind of updating where the race is, and you can follow the trackers. The second race is an interesting one. The 1,000, in the fact that you're not allowed any sort of outside communication for the 10 days.
Wow.
So yeah, that adds another challenge of it. So we're 10 days out, 7 to 10 days out there, no outside communication. There's a bit of there's a tracker on the website and things like that to see we're still alive and we haven't got too lost. But I think for I'm very excited about now is to be able to produce something afterwards and kind of really tell a story after we get through the journey. And the Yukon's such an amazing place, and it's very kind of picturesque. So I'm excited to go there myself and try and enjoy it. But it would be, I think it'll be more so telling the story after we finish the race and we get out of there. So
we look forward to that. What board are you going to have under your feet?
So I'm using I'm using an RS 24.5 watt, and it's again like it's a board that's type proven and tested in pretty much every condition, and it's quick in the flat and it's stable, and I'm comfortable paddling the RS. So it's kind of a don't really know what I'm dealing with, so I'm going to take the RS kind of moment.
Fair enough. In terms of paddle?
This is something I've been playing around with. I really like my Blackfish Viento. Cut it a lot higher, a lot taller lengths than I normally would paddle. Contemplating using a smaller, maybe like a Salish or maybe a smaller, little bit of a softer, forgiving paddle, maybe as well as my second paddle. But I'm just trying to stick with what I know, and I've raced for so many years now with the Viento from Blackfish, and then my RS board. I've been paddling on it for a couple of years now, so I'm just trying to keep what I'm happy using under my feet.
Okay, what about the Canoe for the Yukon?
We're using a Voyaging Canoe. It's kind of stock standard for that race. It would be nice to do both back to back on the stand up, but I don't think it's physically possible. And the kayak would be cool, but I think the canoe's got something special in the fact that it is a traditional kind of craft for up there. And I've done a little bit of canoe paddling. I'm hoping. Well, I know stand up transfers pretty well across. So, we pack all your stuff in it. Same as the board, you pack everything on it. Just make sure you don't flip it upside down at any point. We'll be fine.
Yeah. Being obviously a competitor, are you as concerned about racing time as just finishing both races?
No, I think I think that's very much the reason we're going up here is it is a race, and they're both races. And we'd definitely like to win the 1,000. I mean, I'd definitely like to win the Yukon Quest. So it's very much kind of been on my mind a lot of the time that it is a race, and while it will be an exciting journey and something unique, it would be nice to have a good crack and just see what I'm capable of doing in that kind of conditions.
What's the competition like? Have you studied that?
Yeah, I actually don't know who's racing this year, because there's a fair few guys on the start list and who's actually going to turn up, but there's some incredible distance paddlers over there, and I think what I lack is experience up in the river and experience doing this race. And there's a number of guys that have done this race 3 or 4 times on a stand-up now, and I think that experience will pay. The more I dig into this kind of paddling and adventure racing is the experience of, I don't know how I'm going to feel after 20 hours of paddling or 24 hours of paddling and having to have a quick nap and then get back up and go. As I don't know how I'm going to feel and cope in that kind of pressure. And these guys have done that multiple times in different years. So I feel like I've still got as much unknown. And if it comes to a paddle race, I feel confident as I kind of do with a lot of paddle racing. It's just more so whether I can physically and mentally kind of hold out for the distance.
And well, how do you prepare for this? And right now, what sort of training have you put in place? What's a normal training session looks like for this type of challenges?
You know what? It actually hasn't been a lot different. I've spoken to a lot of people, including the sessions I've done with Peter Allen over the last couple of years, and then some of it just talking to Bart. It's very, very hard for you physically to do a lot of long kind of sessions.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to try and reduce the risk of injury. So kind of similar to what I would have prepared for a Molokai or like maybe an ICF World type Championships, like a 20-kilometer race. I'm going to go out and be trying to be paddling consistently every day and being on the water for my hour and a half-ish. On the weekends, be often going out and trying to get a little bit of a longer distance, slower paddle, but it's still a lot of interval work, a lot of kind of typical race work. It's just probably I'm trying to spend a bit more time paddling slow. I think that's probably what I've got here, and just learning to paddle at a slower speed rather than just go out there and hammer for an hour.
I see. Well, we see if that pays off at those Euro Tour events that you're going to be at. Which ones are you doing?
So I'm going to do the 2 Spanish ones, Costa Blanca and I don't remember the other one, but so I'm committed to going over there and then flying straight to the Yukon. So that'll be exciting in its own way, and we'll see if the long distance 24-hour training pays off in some way. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun anyway to catch up with everyone and to go racing again.
Well, that's great to know. I'll see you at the World Sup Festival Costa Blanca in Santa Pola, Alicante, Spain. Well, Lincoln, I can only say, get ready for the bears for the long distances. Can you remind us the exact dates of both events?
So the quest starts on the 22nd of June, and then June.
Oh, 22nd of June. Oh, sorry.
June. No, sorry. Yeah, 22nd of June, and then the 1,000 starts on the 2nd of July. That's where you got it from. Yeah, 2nd of July. So I've got 8 days in between, and that's another interesting kind of story. Is when Bart did it, there was about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks in between the races. So we've only got 8 days.
Wow.
I never. Yeah. So I didn't really think. Yeah, it's been a personal process to even get to this point, to actually think that the whole thing's doable. So we're taking it step by step, but it should be an exciting month.
Well, I propose we call you after the race number 1 and see what the mood is like before we're going to the 1,000.
Yeah, I might not be so happy at that point, but I'd look forward to it.
Well, good luck with everything. See you in Spain, and get ready for those 2 big challenges.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Appreciate it.